Conceive, believe, achieve.
This is former UFC middleweight champion of the world, Michael Bisping.
Paddy the Baddy here. You're listening to Combat Sports UK.
And you're watching Combat Sports UK.
Hi everybody, welcome back to Combat Sports UK. It's Taylor Collard here and I'm delighted to be joined by Jacinta, the Juggernaut, Austin, Sydney's own. How are you, Jacinta?
Hey, I'm good, thanks. Thanks for having me on.
No, absolutely awesome. We're really looking forward to talking to you today and previewing your fight coming up the 17th of June, so a couple of weeks out now. Oktagon 44 versus Sofia Bagishvili. So how is camp going so far? How are you feeling kind of in the run up to the fight a couple of weeks out?
Really good. It wasn't a long camp. I think I got the fight about 6 weeks ago or something. But in a few ways that's been good for me. I was already looking for a fight well before we got Sofia's name, so I was already preparing and training really hard off the back of the last one. So camp's kind of been short and sweet, just honing in on a few things and looking at a few things that Sofia does well and doesn't do so well. But yeah, I think this camp's more about me just implementing what I'm good at. So yeah, I've felt really like confident and strong this camp. Yeah.
Ah, that's great. Yeah, because you'll notice you were very, very active last year, and then in the run up to your last fight, you said in an interview before that it was kind of one of the toughest camps you've had. Now, saying you obviously took this fight on, well, basically 6 weeks. You just said there. Has this camp kind of been tough? Has it kind of been almost maintaining what you've been doing in between now and your last fight?
It's been tough. So when we got back from the last fight, I had a couple weeks to I actually intended to take time off, but never ended up doing that. So just kind of had a couple weeks to get back in the swing of things, and then yeah, just refocused completely. Went straight back into focusing on developing and growing as a martial artist, and just not working too specifically on one thing, but just growing everywhere. This camp has been hard, but not it's been hard, but it's been managed better. Everything, like the sessions are being managed better, my energy's being managed better, the game plan is being managed better. So although it's hard, I don't believe that it's broken me in the same way that I possibly broke myself for the last one.
Hey, interesting that you talk about kind of developing those skills to be a really well-rounded mixed martial artist. When I was kind of looking at your resume and your fights, it comes out striking. Then when I watched the previous fight, what really stood out to me was your grappling. I thought you controlled against the fence especially quite well, and you looked to be quite dominant in some of those exchanges, and you remained extremely calm as well when you had your back on the mat or when you were on top. Is that something that's really developed kind of in your game recently? Kind of using the striking as your go-to, as your base, and then building off the wrestling and the jiu-jitsu from there?
Yeah, striking is always going to be where I'm most comfortable because I've done it for the longest. But in saying that, like coming up doing Muay Thai, you do a lot of not so much, you don't do wrestling, but you do a lot of clenching. So you do a lot of those like stagnant positions. And I do feel that I'm quite physically strong for the division as well. So I do like to implement like that bit of like cage bullying or cage wrestling quite a bit. I mean, I feel that I'm quite strong there against everyone I fought. So just adding little things to that, like trips and takedowns and stuff off the cage, was a big part of the last game plan. It's still developing for me, but I definitely feel like I'm picking it up pretty quickly as far as like the standing grapple. Jiu-jitsu, I absolutely love jiu-jitsu, so I feel like because I love it so much, I'm developing it very quickly. But yeah, I'm getting more comfortable everywhere, but I will always resort back to striking because it's what I've done for the longest.
And looking back at that last fight, what were the big kind of takeaways from you? What were the key lessons that you learned that you kind of developed on, without obviously giving away too many trade secrets in the run up to this fight? But what's kind of the biggest takeaway from the last fight?
Biggest takeaway, I feel like I had a lot of control time. And while maybe I had a lot of control time, I didn't get, I think what the problem, because it went to a split decision. I think maybe what one area I was lacking is not being busy enough while I was in control. So not striking enough, not throwing, like, I could have been throwing more knees, elbows, punches from the clench, getting to work a little bit more. So I've kept that in mind this time round to just be a bit more active in there, because I believe the damage does score a little bit higher than control. Something I also learnt is not to knee going backwards. So in the second round of the last fight, I threw a knee as I was walking backwards and tripped over, and that's kind of what got me in trouble with the back control in the second round, and which is what I believe in the end, in such a close fight, lost me the decision. So yeah, just making sure I don't make those couple little mistakes I made last time. I don't think there was any one big thing that lost me the fight last time. I don't think I had one big problem. It's just a couple little things that needed to be adjusted. And I think they've definitely been adjusted now.
Yeah, I mean, I was, for me personally, I was really impressed with when you were in that situation. Like I mentioned before, the patience you had to kind of maneuver yourself and get yourself in a position where you could spring out of it and then kind of end up in a good dominant position. So I thought, from my point of view, I thought that was great, and kind of how you did that in that fight. So just shifting gears slightly, coming into your debut for Oktagon MMA, which is kind of a real rising star of European martial arts in terms of a promotion. How do you feel kind of signing for the promotion, getting this fight in Germany?
I'm excited. I'm so excited. Like, it's such a good promotion. And I've been watching I'm excited. It's a 3-fight contract that I've got. And I've been watching the Silda, the Lister, the girl that I'll be fighting if I win this fight for the title. I've been watching her for a while. I've been offered her a couple times, but we'd just come off the back of another fight. For some reason, it never kind of worked out. So now, like, I've been watching her for a while, and we've been studying her for a while. So I'm really excited that if I win this next fight, that she's going to be the next one, and it's going to be for a title. And she's a great fighter. She's good everywhere. So it's just kind of like that little bit more motivation for me to do something very impressive with this first fight.
Awesome. And for you, kind of coming over from Sydney, Australia, how do you manage, you're coming over to Germany. We've got an 8-hour time difference. I'm in Germany at the moment, actually, as we speak. We've got an 8-hour time difference. How do you manage that transition process? Like, how early are you planning on getting out here? What are you feeling like kind of adjusting to the time difference, and how do you think that'll play into the fight?
So we're leaving here on the Monday, and I believe we'll get there. We're leaving here on the Monday night, so I believe we get there on like a Wednesday morning. So that's really not much time. It's like 2 days to adjust yourself, cut weight, get organized. I think last time I traveled to Abu Dhabi was some good practice for that. So it's not completely strange to me. But the thing is, like, on fight week, by the time fight camp's done and you're cutting weight, you're kind of like pretty tired anyway. So I can sleep at any time. So I don't feel like I'm going to struggle getting to sleep or adjusting my time schedule. I'll just get there and I'll be ready to go to sleep. So I'm not too concerned about that part.
Yeah, awesome. So talking on that fight in Octagon 44, you're going up against Sofia Bagashvili. She's kind of looks like a grappler, you would say, a traditional kind of grappler from her background. On paper, it would look like a striker versus grappler match, given your background. But as we've talked about kind of in this discussion so far, it's not as simple as that. How do you see your styles matching up? How do you see that fight going?
So the research we've done on Sofia, she has a big Sambo background. Looks like quite a bit of wrestling and judo as well. Her striking, like, I think, like, if you get too focused on the wrestling, you can just be like, oh, she's a wrestler and she can't strike. But her striking is not bad. And I saw in a couple of fights she had not long ago, I think second last fight or something, she'd actually developed quite a bit since the other fights that I had seen. So she's improved like every fight. Her striking is getting more refined each time. And I have no doubt she's going to improve before ours as well. I think in both departments, the skill gaps is closer than people think. So you might assume that my striking is better than hers, but I think she's closed that gap a little. And while you assume that her grappling or jiu-jitsu is significantly better, I think that I've closed that gap. So I think it's going to be like a close. We're going to be closer in skill than people think. I think I'm going to be like more well-rounded everywhere on the night at putting everything together. But yeah, it's an exciting match if you look at her grappling background versus my striking background.
Yeah, totally. And from watching your fights, you seem to have an ability to be comfortable wherever the fight goes, as we discussed before. Do you kind of see this fight kind of being that tactical chess match, like you said? The kind of skill levels are closer than people would think. Do you think it'll be kind of a bit of a chess match, or a bit more of kind of a war? How do you kind of see it going in your visualization of the fight?
I'd like to think that it would be a chess match, but watching all of her fights, she does like to almost recklessly come forward and recklessly throw and try and kind of be a bit of a bully in there a lot of the time. And I think if you watch my fights, I often try to become a bit of a bully too. So while it might start out maybe slower and technical, at some point we're both little dog's gonna come out in both of us. And yeah, I think you'll see a bit of both. You'll see a bit of chess and a bit of tag, and when it really comes down to it, you'll probably see a dog fight at some point.
Yeah, but a high level tag with some physical consequences.
Yeah,
I feel that it absolutely kind of ramps up for a really interesting fight, like you said. And if you watch both of your fights, you know, you can see the levels that you both have. And I think it will be, like you said, a chess match to begin with, and then you'll both kind of come out kind of swinging. But that kind of leads on with a win in this fight. It sets you up really nicely to go, hopefully, for a title shot, which is what the promotion have been talking about. You know, they kind of bring you guys in on this card, quite a high profile card with the tournament and the title fight at the top of the card. Is that kind of, how do you feel about the title fight, the opportunity? Do you kind of, is it almost a bit of a struggle to keep your mind focused on this fight, knowing that there's something maybe bigger in the future? How do you go about that mental process?
It's not a struggle. No, it just definitely refocuses me, because I'm very aware that the title fight that I want and the title that I want disappears if I don't win the fight. So I'm very aware that I need to get through this fight. I'm very aware that I'm going to have to fight Sophia for it. She's not an easy fight. She's not going to give it up. You're going to have to stop her, really. So yeah, it's not a distraction. It's just a motivation. It's really motivating to me to know that I have a path to follow. Like to know that there's a path laid out, and all I have to do is check off one box at a time, and I'll get where I'm trying to go. Sometimes you feel like you're in a little bit of limbo with fighting when you don't know what's next. So it makes me feel very focused that I know what happens after this.
Yeah, and it's great that the promotion themselves have come out and they've championed that, and they've said, you know, the winner of this is gonna look towards that title fight. In an ideal world, you know, we've said before, you tend to be pretty active. Everything goes well June 17th. Would you look to get that title fight as soon as possible, kind of towards what we say the end of summer, maybe September, October time? What would be kind of your roadmap in an ideal world?
Yeah, it's looking like it will be around September.
Yeah.
And I think that's a good amount of time to heal up anything that happens in this fight, evolve a little bit, adjust to the new opponent. I think it's the perfect amount of time.
Yeah, brilliant. So just to move quickly on before we finish about MMA in Australia, I'm really keen to hear, you know, you kind of see some of the superstars that are coming out of the region at the moment. What's it like on the ground? Is there that buzz in Australia that MMA is kind of almost, you know, the UFC have just signed a big deal with Sydney, haven't they, to get 3 kind of pay-per-views over the next few years. I've got
Yeah.
some close friends as well who are doing media down there, and they say it's very exciting. What's it like for you on the ground as a competitor?
It's so exciting. It like you can feel like the buzzing atmosphere. You can feel it. I can feel it change ever since, like, even since I started MMA, and I only started MMA about 2.5 years ago, maybe almost 3 years ago. And you can already feel the difference. We've got so many fighters in the UFC now, and we've got so many people that are either on like Contender or are almost on Contender, or even a few that have just been signed straight away and are killing it in their debut fights. So it's so motivating. And most places you go in Australia now, especially I'm in Sydney, most places you go, there is a UFC fighter. You train amongst like Josh Coolabau and Jamie Malarkey, Alex Volkanovski's not far away. Like it's inspiring. And even in the gym, like the numbers have picked up, the intensity's picked up, the amount of people doing MMA has increased. Very
Right, I think I'm back.
You back?
I think so. I'm so sorry. I'm so
That's
sorry.
okay. I'm not sure
Um,
how long I was talking for.
because I hope on the edit
Right.
it'll pick up what you were saying just to finish off about Australian MMA. So I just have one more question about Australia, and then we'll get on
Yep.
to your shout outs and stuff. So
What was the last thing you heard me say?
um about you were talking about Alex Volkanovski, and then everywhere you go in Australia there's a fighter from and around that area, and then it kind of started to drift out. So
Yeah,
we'll cut it.
okay. I went for a little bit more, but it's all right.
All right, no worries. So we'll cut it up in the editing. So as MMA in Australia continues to rise, as you've kind of just alluded to there, do you see yourself kind of in the future, kind of becoming a coach, a promoter, kind of staying in the game in that kind of capacity, or kind of how would you see that kind of once the fighting side of it might be done?
I definitely got a few ideas, and I think that my ideas and also possibilities will continue to grow as my career grows. But I definitely want to be involved in some kind of teaching or kids or teens program. We have just started doing a beginners MMA program at our gym where there's a lot of teens doing it. And
Amazing.
you can just see like they show up before school, they show up after school, they're at training rather than going out and getting into trouble. And um, me being like the kind of only professional MMA fighter at our gym, I feel like I get to give them something to look forward to or something to work towards. And I like the feeling of like being able to help those younger people. So
Mhm.
whatever I do afterwards, it will definitely involve something to do with MMA programs amongst team.
There we go. So we got to the end of that one. I'm so
We go
sorry.
to the end.
Yeah, no, of that question you just said that you want to give back and everything. So, yeah, I mean, for me, I think that's beautiful. I think you being the role model, kind of like you said in the gym, being the only professional MMA fighter in the gym, I think serves a lot for the young people. And hey, if you've got them coming before and after school, you're winning. Like I'm a teacher of teenagers. If you've got that buy-in,
Yeah,
you're in. You've won. So awesome stuff. So just before we
yeah,
wrap
it's
up,
so good to see.
it is. It's amazing. It's amazing, and please continue that hard work, because it'll benefit yourself and obviously MMA kind of going in the future. So just to wrap up, we'll throw it over to you for kind of maybe a final little prediction for the fight, and also any shout out for your gym, training partners, coaches, everything like that. So go ahead.
Yeah. So prediction for the fight, it's going to be a tough fight. It's not going to be easy. In saying that, I've watched a few of Sophia's fights recently, say in the past couple of years, I've seen her be finished a few times. So I believe that there's a clear route. There's a couple of routes that I'll finish her on the night. So that's the goal. That's the intention. I believe I'll get it done. Maybe in the second or third round. As far as shout outs, my gym, like I said, I'm kind of the only pro MMA fighter there, but I have so many skilled athletes there. A lot of them are single discipline athletes, but I feel like that works even better for me because I get kind of the best of everything. But yeah, my gym, Karyote MMA, we're just a small gym in Hornsby, which is just kind of on the skirts of Sydney. And yeah, just my sponsors. I've had a couple new sponsors come on board recently, which are making it very possible for me to train a lot more than like having to work as much at the moment. So my sponsors are Humble Fightwear, Genesis Carpentry, Blue Mountains Carpet and Dry Cleaning Service, Rhino Mouth Guards. I think that's all of them. The Fight Dietitian, he's amazing. Yeah, just I've got a great group at the moment. I've got a lot of people who are trying to help me succeed. Yeah, I feel like I've really got everything I need.
Brilliant. And you do have a really cool design T-shirt that I was checking out yesterday as well in my research. So check out the T-shirt. That looks super cool.
Yeah.
Jacinta the Juggernaut
Unbroken.
Austin.
Sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh yeah, the brand that made the shirt's called Unbroken. They've got like real cool philosophy around supporting athletes. And you could buy the shirt. The link is on my Instagram.
It is, and it's a very nice shirt. So Jacinta the Juggernaut Austin fighting 17th of June in Oberhausen, Germany. Oktagon 44 versus Sofia Dagishvili on the road to the title. Thank you so much for your time. From everyone at Combat Sports UK, we wish you the best of luck in the fight.
No problems. Thanks for having me on.